Welcome to a build guide video for Borderlands 3. I know I haven't put out a lot of videos lately. Again, I'm sorry, I work a lot, so I don't have a lot of time to do anything usually, but I wanted to get this out there because I really enjoyed this game and I enjoy this build in particular. So this is for Moze, and Moze is a lot of fun, and I call this the Ice Queen Moze build. Now before I get too far into this, I do want to say that it has been stated that the infinite grenade spam is going to be adjusted in the future. Hopefully they won't nerf it too hard, but until they do, this build is really cool, and I wanted to share this with you guys. Alright, so let's check out the modifiers I have right now. Overall pretty neutral. I was trying to get something that was overall neutral so I can better display this build and its capabilities. Obviously, if you wanted to roll to have like the best max potential damage you can, but I feel like this gives us a better assessment of what this build is capable of. The values aren't exactly what they are stated or physically say, so keep that in mind. There is some information out there on this. For example, when you lose 50% assault rifle damage and then gain 50% assault rifle damage, from what I've read and understand, some guy did some testing on this actually. From what I understand, you're not getting an evened out number. He said overall you actually end up losing like 12 to 13% damage because the values aren't exactly correct. Something they need to fix. So anyway, keep that in mind. So I am losing a little damage in this situation, I believe. And let's check out the items. I'm going to try to make this pretty quick and simple so you guys can understand. But basically, the most important thing about this build is the Enhanced Bloodletter class mod. More or less what this does is anytime you receive any healing, it goes straight to your shields versus your health. The whole idea of what this build's trying to do is we're trying to rip our health down to 1, keep it extremely low, at the cost of boosting our shields crazy high. And you end up getting a lot of damage out of this, and I'll talk about that here in a second. But you can see I got some decent rolls on this. I got grenade radius increase, which is really viable and valuable in this setup. I got some shotgun and assault rifle damage bonus, and I use those two weapons primarily, so that is perfect for what we're trying to do. Using the Lucky Icebreaker, you can use any icebreaker really. I just happen to get the lucky one, so I get some increased luck with drops and whatnot, so that's pretty cool. Health doesn't do us any good. Weapon accuracy isn't awful. It does improve some weapon aiming and accuracy on some that might be pretty terrible. But the bonus damage against frozen targets is very valuable. And our cryo efficiency is increased as well, so that's really nice. Using the cloning hex, I do have a cryo hex. It doesn't have any special modifications on it. It's just a regular hex. Throws out one grenade and kind of bounces around. It's doable. You can do it with that one. The reason why I'm using cloning at this point, you get more freezing with the cryo, but this one spawns 2 grenades, so you get a lot more consistent healing, ammo regeneration, and grenade regeneration, things of that sort. And this can also deal damage to the anointed mobs. For whatever reason, most anointed mobs are basically immune to cryo, so it really hurts whenever they come out and you're not vamping with the cryo hex grenade. So this is a better consistent pick for this situation, especially for the slaughter shaft, which is what I'm about to do. The bloated front loader. So this synergizes really well with Moze. Basically, it's taking 60% of our max health and converting it into shield. So 60% health for 60% shield, which I was saying earlier, we really want that. And then it gives 25% increased max capacity on the shield, and it gives us 10% increased max health. We don't really care about the health. That doesn't do us any good, but the shield part is really nice. Auditing the Butcher. This is a cryo Butcher shotgun. The larger the magazine size is with the guns that you're using, the better the ammo regeneration is. With this one, you will have to reload here and there a couple of times while you're playing, but you can still get out a lot of consistent DPS, and you can also infinitely basically keep shotgun ammo even while using this if you're playing it right and playing it smart. So this is what I was talking about earlier. You can see that the weapon accuracy is minus 130% on this, so that weapon accuracy here does help out a little bit. It's not major, but it does let you aim and control the gun a little better, which is kind of cool. Shrinking, gratifying laser exploder. If you get any laser exploders, I'd recommend keeping them. They roll in all kinds of different elements. This one happens to be cryo, which is really nice. And I actually got the anointed gunner on this. So while auto bear is active, deals 20% bonus incendiary damage. That's actually pretty good. There is a lot of good incendiary damage in this build as well. And Iron Bear has a talent that lets him go out and keep fighting and dealing damage on the battlefield. It becomes auto bear. And it's really cool. So I'll show you that here in a minute. Lucian's Call, this is a cryo Lucian's Call. Lucian's Call is a great gun. It rolls in different elements as well. This one happens to be cryo. Every time you get a critical hit, returns 2 bullets to your magazine. So this is a really nice gun. With Moze, it's insanely good. It's good on anybody really, but it's really nice for her because the ammo regeneration, plus, you're critting and getting ammo regen. And then whenever you crit, the bullets will ricochet and hit nearby enemies. So This can be a really fun little gun. You can get a lot of AoE damage and freezing. The Shredded Scourge. So the reason why I'm using Shredded Scourge right now is because it does really decent damage, and I use this to pick off the anointed mobs that spawn in here. Because like I said, they're basically immune to like cryo, so I'm using Shredded Scourge to kind of deal with them. And it does a ton of damage, so if you get downed, you can use this to kind of get back up if you want to. But you really don't need to. Honestly, if you get down in this build, you can still throw grenades and put out a lot of damage. And yeah, it's really hard for you to go down in this build completely. Alright, so those are the main items I'm using. I do have some other items over here that I kind of swap between and use sometimes, but overall that's pretty much the gist of what's important here. The flacker I use sometimes, it's a really nice one. Alright, so let's go over these skills. We'll start over on the far left tree. So we have 5 points in Cloud of Lead. This is going to give us bonus incendiary damage, and then every 4th shot doesn't consume ammo. So this is really nice for having that ammo consistency like I was talking about earlier. Stoke the Embers, bonus 30% incendiary damage is really good. And then Redistribution. After Moze scores a critical hit, she regenerates ammo for a few seconds. And that's pretty much all you need from this tree, in my opinion. So let's go on over here to this tree now. We're using Fire in the Skag Den, so whenever Moze deals splash damage, she deals bonus incendiary damage. So you just get bonus fire damage basically whenever you deal splash damage. Means of Destruction. Whenever Moze deals splash damage, there's a chance to add ammo to her currently equipped weapons magazine with a smaller chance to return a grenade. Really good in this build, so as you can see, we're going to be generating lots of ammo and grenades. 3 points into Grizzled. The reason why we do this is because the torque cross promotion, I have tested this a few times. With some guns it's not too bad, with some things it's not too bad, but when you're using like the flacker, for example, this will cause that explosion radius to be much larger and kill you too a lot of the time, so I just don't feel like it's necessary to use, to be honest, so I don't really usually pick it. You can try it if you want. I don't like it. And these are benefits that go towards your Iron Bear, basically. But Iron Bear, as is not very good currently at this state in the game. So putting points into boosting Iron Bear really is not worth it overall. Pull the Holy Pin. Basically, your grenades have a chance to crit, a 30% chance to crit when they deal damage. However, they do not get bonuses from critical hit damage that are on your character. So still really good, though. Puts out some consistent good damage for your grenades. And then if your grenades are critting, then you're getting ammo back, as we saw previously in the first tree. Auto Bear. So this is Auto Bear. This is whenever you go into your Iron Bear, you can jump out of your Iron Bear and he will stay out on the battlefield for 15 seconds and continue to shoot enemies while you're fighting. This is really cool. It's actually about the most use you can get out of Iron Bear. So I like doing that. And then what we do with this is we will equip the Vanquisher rocket pod. And then we will equip the target softening on those rocket pods. What this does is while they're taking damage from the rockets, they will get a debuff that makes them take 15% more damage. So this is good for giving us more damage. Really nice. Vampire, this one is really nice. Whenever Moze damages an enemy with a thrown grenade, for every enemy hit, she restores a portion of her missing health. So the Hex grenades are really good because they do constant, consistent damage, and they chain to multiple enemies. So this is really valuable. You're going to get a lot of healing out of this to your shield, which is basically another bread and butter part of this build. And then we have To the Last. So basically this allows us to throw grenades while we're in Fight for Life. And if you throw a grenade before gaining Second Wind, a grenade is refunded. Don't really need it, but being able to throw grenades in Fight for Life is amazing. Alright, so moving on to Armored Infantry. While Moze's shields are active, she gains damage reduction and increased gun damage. So basically 100% of the time this is just a good buff, and it's not bad, so we're taking it. Drowning in Brass. Every time you kill an enemy, you get a stack of Drowning in Brass. For each stack of Drowning in Brass, you lose fire rate and you gain gun damage. So you lose 2.5% fire rate, but you gain 20% gun damage. So at 3 stacks, that's 60% bonus gun damage. It's really nice. Thin Red Line. This is basically the same thing that our shield's doing, is taking 60% of our max health and converting it into shield. So because we're using that shield, it's allowing us to not put as many points into this. That's another thing that's really valuable about that shield that I'm using. Vladoff Ingenuity. So we did put 3 points here so we can move down the tree, but this does boost our max shield, and it also gives us some shock damage resistance, which is pretty important if your primary health is shield, basically. If you're struggling with shock damage, you can put more points into this, or you can use the Transformer Shield, which makes you immune to shock and electrocute damage. That is totally up to you. And then we are using Experimental Munitions, so basically for 1 point, whenever Moze scores a critical hit, she deals bonus incendiary damage. So again, a little bit of bonus incendiary damage. Desperate Measures. This is one thing that is very good with this setup. It says Moze's gun damage is increased depending on how low her health is. The lower her health, the greater the increase. So basically we are getting a constant 67% increased gun damage because our health is 1. And then with the class mod we get 2 points of Phalanx Doctrine. So every time you kill an enemy, you get gun damage, you get max shield increase, and it lasts for 30 seconds. And there's no stack limit to this. So for an extra free 2 points there from the class mod, it's a really nice little buff. Good skill overall, really, but this is what we were able to do with the points that we had. Alright, so that's all the skills. And all the items, let's get into some gameplay.
Well, we ain't got no shortage of COV for you to mess around with. You ready to get in there and get dead? Well, then get to it!
I typically just use the laser splitter, but you can use the other guns that I mentioned before. When you go into your Iron Bear, if you jump in the air before activating Iron Bear, you actually go into it quicker. So that's a little tip or trick for you guys there. And then you jump out of him, and he's going to shoot and deal damage with his rockets, and they take increased damage from anything that I do. Now, you don't have to always use Auto Bear, but you can if you want. On big, like, harder bosses, that's typically when I use him. And like I was saying, you pretty much never have to reload. So Slaughter Shaft, this is one of the more difficult things you can do in the game right now too, so that's what's so cool about this is there's a lot of good legendary drop rates in here. And this build allows you to come farm this place really efficiently. And like I said, if I wanted to, I could roll way better modifiers to give myself way more damage and just really rip through this thing. Figured we could show off some of the other guns here. So I'm going to use the Butcher for a bit.
About time.
So if you stop shooting and just kind of let your ammo regenerate a little bit, you can basically never have to reload with this gun. Try to aim for the head the best you can. It is kind of wonky and weird with this gun a little bit, but once you get the hang of it, it's really powerful. It's a nice gun. I guess one of the downsides to this build would be that it's kind of difficult to see everything. It's very chaotic, but it feels awesome because of it a little bit. Alright, so that's the Butcher. Let's do some of the Lucian's Call here. So there won't be like as much direct damage with this gun, but what this gun is really good at doing is having really good splash that hits everything in the area. And obviously depending on your modifier rolls and stuff, that can change your damage quite a bit. Alright, so we have a Anointed here. Like I was mentioning before, they're typically immune to cryo, so let's try to use our Scourge to get some damage in. If you miss with the Scourge, just throw some grenades and let your ammo regenerate. Just don't let it reload. As you can see, you can basically just keep shooting if you don't let it reload. There we go. You know, it's dead. That's the trick, really. If you don't let guns reload, as long as you have grenades out, it'll keep regenerating ammo. Especially if they have a lower clip. Alright, so I got downed right there. So this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. If you get down, yeah, it just doesn't really matter. Because you can keep throwing grenades and dealing damage. It's really nice. With the Anointed, you can also opt to use like a Fire Lucian's Call or any fire type weapon, really. You don't have to use the Scourge. That's just what I've been kind of doing lately. Alright, so there it is, guys. And yeah, I can easily clear all 5 waves and do this pretty consistently and just get a lot of experience. But if you guys like this video and you want to see more build guides or more content about Borderlands or any other game really, let me know down below. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. As always, I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch my content, for subscribing and supporting me. It helps me, and yeah, I really appreciate it. Alright guys, everybody take care. Until next time.